Welcome everyone. Now that 9.1 is officially here, I want to go over some of the Shadow Priest changes to help you answer the question, how good will Shadow be in 9.1? Bottom line, I think Shadow is going to be overall stronger in 9.1 than it was in 9.0. In this video, I'll cover the Shadow Priest buffs and nerfs, covenants and legendaries, and finally, talk a bit about the new domination system and how it will affect our gearing strategy going into 9.1. As always, everything I say here is subject to change. However, while I do expect to see tuning changes for the first several weeks of the patch, I don't think anything will significantly change our spot as a solid DPS spec in 9.1. Be sure to join the Priest Discord for the latest updates. The Shadow team over there is hard at work simming to make sure we have all the best information before we step foot into raid. First up, let's talk about the buffs and nerfs. The three big nerfs I know many people are worried about are Devouring Plague doing 18% less damage, Dissonant Echoes doing 15% less damage, and Shadowflame Prism damage going down by about 15%. So here's why I don't think these nerfs are all that bad. First of all, Shadow was simply doing way too much single target damage at the end of 9.0. Something had to be done, and honestly, I think these nerfs are perfectly reasonable, especially when you account for the 25% damage buffs to Vampiric Touch and Shadowward Pain. This means that although our single target damage is being nerfed slightly, we will still do great single target damage as we pick up a third potency conduit and more secondary stats, and will be in a much better spot on spread cleave and AoE fights. So if you're thinking of playing Shadow in 9.1, I don't think there's ever been a better time. The next thing I want to talk about is Covenants and Legendaries. Personally, I swapped to Night Fae in 9.0, and I currently see no reason to swap to anything else. Preliminary sims are showing other covenants catching up a bit to Night Fae and possibly even surpassing it under certain conditions. But sims aren't finalized, and it's quite possible tuning changes in the first few weeks of the patch change what the best covenant is. My recommendation is to sit tight with your current covenant and make a switch if you want to once the patch has been live for a few weeks and things are a bit more stable. That being said, you can never go wrong playing the covenant you enjoy the most, especially since they're looking to be closer than ever. We already talked about the Shadowflame Prism nerf, but one other legendary nerf to keep in mind is Talbotar's Stratagem also getting nerfed by about 8%. This seemed to be a bit of an odd nerf since it wasn't the top performing legendary to begin with, but I thought it was worth mentioning. So which legendary should you be using in 9.1? The answer is honestly a bit up in the air right now and dependent on your covenant. I don't want to list every different covenant combination here, mostly because the sims still aren't finalized and I don't want to lead you down a bad path of crafting a legendary that doesn't actually turn out to be the best a week from now. Soul Cinders are the new crafting mat for legendaries in 9.1 and will have a limited supply when the raid first comes out. My plan is to stick with my Shadowflame Prism gloves and see how things shape up in Heroic Week before committing to crafting a new legendary. There's really no rush to craft a legendary in the first week, or even Heroic Week for that matter, so banking your Soul Cinders until you're certain what you want might be the play. However, if you really want to make a new legendary, consider just making a rank 4 version since Soul Ash is now infinitely farmable. If it ends up being a mistake, you can easily correct that mistake with some Soul Ash farming instead of having no way to recover your precious Soul Cinders. With the exception of just really wanting to make an early legendary, there's no reason to even craft a rank 4 legendary if you're switching. Remember how you could directly craft a rank 4 without crafting ranks 1, 2, or 3? You should be able to do that with ranks 5 and 6 as well. So an easy way to save some gold is to just make your rank 5 without making the previous ranks. Talking about crafting a legendary in a new slot, let's talk about why you might need to do that. One of the major progression systems in 9.1 is equipping items with domination sockets. These are kind of like Benthic gear for those of you who played during Ashara's Eternal Palace. Every character has the ability to equip a helm, shoulder, and chest from raid that allows you to socket a powerful Domination Gem. Additionally, each armor type has 2 specific slots that also get Domination sockets. For Clothies, those slots are wrist and belt. What this means is when you're gearing up or picking loot from your weekly vault, you want to avoid picking pieces in these 5 slots if they don't have a Domination socket in them, which should be the case for all non-raid loot. You also don't want to have a crafted legendary in one of these slots if you want to eventually get the benefit of all 5 Domination Gems. Personally, I can't imagine we go the whole patch without Blizzard adding the ability for PvP and Mythic Plus players to somehow get Domination sockets from that content, but at the time of 9.1's launch, the only piece outside of raid you can get is one piece from the new Korthia vendor. For us, that's a belt, so I'd expect that belt will be our best piece stepping into Raid Week 1. I don't want to go too much into detail with which gems and set bonuses are the best, since I honestly expect to see some major tuning changes in the first few weeks. Many of these Domination Gems or set bonuses weren't implemented or weren't working correctly as recently as a few days before the patch's release, so there's a very good chance that they will change. My recommendation here is to save the materials to buy these gems until the tuning is done and numbers are solidified. However, I do want to talk a bit about the mechanics of the system since it can be a bit tricky. As I mentioned, you can have up to 5 Domination Gems equipped. There are 9 total gems, and each gem is either Unholy, Blood, or Frost. Equipping all 3 gems of a specific type and equipping one of those gems in the specific armor piece for that type will unlock a set bonus which will only be active in Raid. Obviously, since there are only 5 domination slots, you can only get 1 set bonus at a time. Luckily, if you want to swap these around, there is a one-time purchase from the Korthia vendor that lets you infinitely remove and swap these gems around. Requiring a specific gem type in a specific piece to unlock that set bonus seems a bit clunky to me, but it is what it is. For example, if you have 3 Unholy Gems equipped, you won't get the set bonus unless one of those Unholy Gems is socketed in your helm. The same goes for a Frost Gem in your shoulder or a Blood Gem in your chest. So there you have it, everyone. I'm excited to play Shadow in 9.1 and I hope you are too. Be sure to stay updated in the Priest Discord for all the latest sims over the next few weeks, since things will undoubtedly change between now and when Raid is released. I plan on streaming a lot of Raid and Mythic Plus this tier on YouTube and Twitch, so don't hesitate to stop by and ask any questions you may have. I also have a Discord where you can get all of my week auras or ask questions. All those links are in the description below. Good luck in 9.1, enjoy that Shadow Priest, and as always, I'll see you next time.